Hey, I'm Jackie,
I'm Patty.
and we're going to talk about some clone theories today. We're just waiting for our friend Betty Hooker, aka Anna, to come and join us because we're actually talking mostly about her theory.
Indeed, we are.
Yeah, so which is pretty cool. But I mean, there have been a lot of clone theories that we've seen, and some of them have, come true, I guess, or been what is actually happening in the series. So it'll be interesting to kind of see, I guess, what happens with this one.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know the theory that we're talking about, we posted it to our blog, so you can
go look at it.
Pause really quick and go read that and come back.
Yeah,
if you want, or you can just read it after.
And yeah, so just while we're waiting, have you had a favorite clone theory of anything you've read or seen on Tumblr or online, or anything that's happened on the show?
That's a good question. I feel like a lot of the theories have come true, the ones that I liked, so they're not really theories anymore. I guess Mrs. S being involved in everything, and for being on Sarah's side.
Please be on Sarah's side.
Well, she did kill the guys at the ranch.
She did kill the guys at the ranch, but sorry, I'm really fidgety today too. Yeah, but still, one can hope.
I have to say, although it's not my favorite theory, I am really glad that they used the mirror image twin thing for Helena. If only because we're a mirror image, so just our handedness, guys. I'm left, she's right. But it's something that relates even more to us.
And well, what I like too is from research I've done on mirror image twins, which may or may not be correct and or outdated, but from what I know, it's actually more common to have a full reversal of organs as opposed to just the heart. And a lot of people were saying maybe just her heart's reversed, but then they said all of her organs are reversed. So I mean, that worked out kind of nicely, kind of creepy. But I mean, my only problem with that theory, which is just that it's so highly unlikely, and I thought it was kind of a weird thing that like something that has such a small chance of happening would actually happen to these clones. But I guess if it was going to happen to anyone, why wouldn't it happen to the clones?
On the other hand, one thing that nobody mentioned is that maybe Dyad fiddled with their genes to make the mirror image on purpose.
That is creepy and kind of cool. I don't know if you actually could, though. I'm just switching windows. We can't see ourselves now. We can just see this. But I'm just checking in, trying to see if Anna's here.
Anna, are you here?
I don't know. I have to say we haven't actually done connecting with someone before, so we're just hoping that it will work.
Yeah, we really hope that it works.
If not, we'll try again later today or something. I'm out at work for a while. Boo. But I would be back. Yeah, we would have time to do it before the show because we wanted to talk about it because according to the I guess sort of synopsis for this week, we're gonna get some more backstory about the clones and Dyad, and so we thought it was kind of a good time to bring this up.
Yeah.
But maybe while we're waiting, Anna, I don't know if you're here. If you are, send me a message. We'll try and hook you up. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so Patty, you just read about the theory. You did our little quick catch-up review, whatever, this morning. So do you want to
run it down?
Yeah, thanks. Sorry, my brain's in French, so I was like, do you want to resume that? But
no, it's totally cool. Let's see where to start. Okay, so they were talking about the clone. Anna was talking about the clones and the nature versus nurture, and specifically Rachel, and how it's mentioned in the show that her adoptive parents were around, but she still ended up being raised mostly by Loki. Loki. God, I have Thor on the brain.
Who doesn't?
Sorry, we watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. last night, so
yeah, we like marathoned a bunch of episodes.
They were dealing with some Thor-related stuff. So anyway, she was raised mostly by Leaky, and Anna brought up in particular Rachel's affinity for languages. And one of the things that she mentioned is that languages aren't, you can't you can't just be born knowing them, but you can be born with an affinity for languages, so learning them is easier. And she was saying that, hey, Anna's here. We're just gonna pause and try and hook her up. Well, Jackie is. I can keep talking. So what Anna was saying was that while Rachel wasn't perhaps the control clone, the one that didn't know anything at all, because obviously she was raised by Dyad, that maybe they were using her as a test clone to see just how much they could raise her a specific way, down to, you know, her diet or her the languages that she knows or the sports that she's good at, and just like guiding her to grow in a way.
So like influencing her on how she turns out.
Yes. Okay. Exactly.
Sorry, Anna's so much better at explaining this, and of course,
because it's hers.
Because it's hers.
But we did say it was just a quick rundown, so.
Okay, here. I think we figured it out.
Look us.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. So, technology is not our friend today. Such a disaster. We're always like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this thing, and it doesn't work. And like, I read up on this, and it seemed really easy, but apparently it's not. Or maybe I just read like outdated information, which has happened to me before too. Because the first time we set up a live stream, I had to read like 3 different things and watch a video tutorial because they had like recently changed something, and with it being like a Google Plus Hangout, and guys, come on, make life a little easier for us, please.
Well, at least we've got, you know, our side of the Hangout down, and there we go.
Hey, maybe we have this.
Yeah, maybe we just need to send the invite via email. There.
Oh, all right. Maybe this is working.
Anna, if you're watching, we've sent you an invite, so
got
hopefully.
I feel bad that we're just sitting here being like, yeah, we're talking about her stuff. Anyways, she's going to come on and give like a much better...
Indeed, because unlike us, she is a science major, so...
She knows what's what.
Yeah.
We're just sitting here like, we could talk about this from our personal experience of being mirror image clones. Although, I mean, I guess like we've had experiences where we were not together and like, well, I mean, I went off to France for 3 months, and so my French is much better than yours.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, I guess that would be an instance of we're gonna put you here and see what happens.
Nature.
So
versus nurture.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I'd kept up with French, I might
still be good.
Oh, we invited your Yahoo account, Anna. So
it's fine. She'll get the message.
Indeed.
Um, we're just waiting awkwardly.
Indeed we are. Guys, this is pretty much us.
Just chilling.
Very quiet.
We are.
We geek out over.
Oh, hey, it worked. We're gonna see her. There she is. Hi.
Hey, let's turn her up. Turn her all the way up.
Okay. There, your volume's turned up. Can you hear us? Oh no, we can't hear you. What's up with that?
Oh.
No. I don't know.
Okay, well, we got her here. So that's 1 point to us and 1 point to technology, because we still can't.
All right, I think if I do that, I would be muting her, which we don't want.
No.
Okay.
Oh, hello. There we go.
There we go.
Hi, it was just sort of driving me crazy to just be sitting here and be like, I'm here! I'm right here! You're like, are you here? I'm like, I'm here!
Well, we can see there's like a little thing, and it's like, you have one viewer, and we're like, we know that's her. Like, we know
we know she's here.
So, okay, yes, it worked. All right,
Yay.
So Anna, tell us from your perspective of actually knowing about science, like, tell us about this clone theory that you have, which I love.
Well, I'm just going to start from like how I first started thinking about it. So what really happened was I was doing, a whole binge watch during midterms to prepare for the premiere, and I took note of the whole. Give me a second to collect myself, since this whole thing has me a little bit rattled. But Cosima was talking specifically about what made the clones genetically distinct. And as somebody who is pre-med specifically, one of the things which stood out to me was it was the cytochrome C section of her DNA, the part of her DNA that codes for cytochrome C. Now, cytochrome C is a protein on the electron transport chain, which is basically the final step in ATP synthesis. I don't know if you know much about what ATP is, but ATP is energy. It is our form of like gasoline. It is our currency. It's what makes us go. And by possibly modifying that, the cytochrome C part of it, I'm theoretically thinking that that would increase the output of ATP. Now, what really made me start like believing in this was on the premiere when we went to it. Kira was in the hospital, and Sarah was talking to the doctors, and the doctor said, she is incredibly resilient. I don't know how it's possible that she survived all of this. And if you think of that also in the context of Helena, Sarah's absolute genetic identical, since they are identical twins, that this would be something inherent in their DNA that Sarah passed on, that Helena has, that something about having more ATP would, or more energy, more sort of like, more currency to work with, would then mean that they have greater energy, greater sort of endurance. They wouldn't run out of energy as fast. When you're running a lot and you start getting burning muscles, that's because you've run out of ATP and you're starting to do lactic acid. You're starting to get lactic acid in your muscles, and it's painful, and you are just basically you don't have enough oxygen. Theoretically, she'd be stronger. She'd be able to just like pull through. I mean, this is also sort of science fiction science, so I hope nobody like calls me out on it. Suspend your disbelief for a second. That's part of the enjoyment of science fiction. But I hope I didn't go too much into the science there. But really what had it was when Helena came on screen, and I was like, it's true.
Yeah, you're like, oh, you shouldn't have been able to survive that, but you did.
Now, my real question is, do you think here's the thing, the Dyad Institute making clones, or being involved in a cloning process, with humans. Seems like there's since it is they are neolutionists, they are eugenicists. They are trying to better the genome.
Yeah.
My question is, as a scientist, would they have sort of a large group where they are trying to produce the same results, using the same measures and trying to measure, or trying to produce the same result by changing different, making different changes to the same sequence. So trying to make different changes but to the same specific part, or are they trying to produce a completely different result? Like, just for fun, let's say Sarah and Helena obviously have that resilience. When Sarah's backed up against the wall, she'll break it the fuck down.
Yes.
But thinking about, as you were talking about how Rachel wouldn't necessarily be bred to know all of these languages, or Cosima be bred to already know science, but are they trying to genetically program an aptitude for it by trying to make those modifications? I'm more inclined to believe the whole sort of super strength, super healing part, just because obviously the brain is, there's a lot that goes into all of that. To certain genetic traits as compared to others. You can have a trait that is controlled sort of, one-to-one, where you've got one gene, one trait. So one gene controls one trait, or one area. One thing is controls only one trait. And then you've got things like hair color and eye color. It's one trait that's controlled by a bunch of different genes in the sequence. So I'm just thinking on a more simpler level. What are they? What would be more reasonable for them to try and test for?
Well, I think with last week's episode, we'll find out whether this resiliency is clone-wide or just the twins, because Allison did break her arm, and she's the first clone other than Sarah or Helena to get hurt in the series. I mean, I'm sure they got hurt as kids. We all did. Yeah. There have been, spoiler alert, pictures of her in a sling or a cast or something. So I'm thinking it was not an immediate reaction, as we've seen with the others, where, Kira's up, the next day and walking around. But it would be interesting to see if they kind of tell us how long it takes her to heal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's definitely something that we should look out for and just think about in the context of just clone theory and what is actually, why do they exist? The sort of the motivations behind it. And I also think it might be interesting to view that in the context of Allison's own substance abuse problems. Since there is, this whole discussion about what drives substance abuse, and there are a lot of sort of environmental factors in people's own sort of experience. And obviously Donnie is an asshole, and Allison has gone through a whole lot. But could there be a predisposition to substance abuse?
Yeah, and if there is, because it was your theory that you were talking that perhaps the other clones had genetic identicals, right? They were paired up together?
I don't think that they could ever, or are you saying that oh yeah, that they would have, that Rachel and Cosima would have the same modification, that they would be genetically identical but birthed from separate mothers?
Right. Yeah.
because then that brings up the question of Allison and Beth both had substance abuse problems.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
I mean, we got to look at Beth's medicine cabinet. That was not,
nope.
the medicine cabinet of an entirely healthy person.
That's true.
Yeah. You were saying something, or?
Well, I'm just thinking if it is that if they could sort of create these two genetic identicals from different mothers, and if they were using them as sort of, to see what happens if you're raised in different environments, it'd be interesting if that was, true in this Orphan Black universe, if they sort of explored that, and, like, if we actually found out who was connected to who. Because I think from the clones that we've met, it would be really interesting if we all of a sudden found out, like, these two who are nothing alike and don't seem to have any similarities in terms of personality actually have this.
Sarah and Helena.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, we've seen it with them, and I mean, as identical twins, we certainly have things that are very different about us as much as we have things that are the same about us, or like we might have different methods to get to the same end result of something, which I think Sarah and Helena do, and Helena's involves more killing, but yeah.
Definitely more killing than Helena's half.
Yeah.
What I find really interesting about the whole Sarah and Helena are that they are the only pair that was outside of their control. That they put them, I mean, the whole part of experimentation, scientific experimentation, is that you have the parameters of the experiment, and then you have, like, the independent variable which you're observing, right? And so you have a very specific controlled environment, so you know what has influenced and caused these changes, and so you can sort of sort it out and test for each of these, influences. Mm-hmm. The one sort of pair that has had that is, fertile, able to carry children, it has this incredible, resilience, is the pair that they were not able to control their, environment. So there's a certain amount of, yes, they've given them they've given them their DNA. They've obviously modified it in attempts to, have some results. But what part of their living experience, having it be uncontrolled, allowed them to thrive, maybe?
Oh, interesting. Mm-hmm. Especially knowing sort of what we do of Helena's backstory, which is not an environment you would think that you would thrive in, although maybe that's something that brought out this sort of superior healing and endurance because it was something that was needed for her.
Considering they trained her to scar herself, I'm guessing, that would have brought the healing.
Which would be interesting, too, because although Sarah has had Mrs. S and Felix, we know that she's also had kind of a rough life where she's been a petty criminal, she's been on the run, and so, is that something that could have influenced her to have this higher endurance and stamina, whereas someone like Allison, who grew up in suburbia, and never really had those specific challenges where maybe she was constantly on the run or doing a lot of physical things as much as she was an athlete. Maybe it was because her life was never in danger or in risk.
Somebody who's been in a lot of moments where they've had to activate that fight or flight response. Mm-hmm. Having those, just from a biological standpoint, having those hormones flooding through your body all the time. Let me just Google something. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about the effect of epinephrine.
Oh, interesting.
Because what I believe happens with epinephrine is, the heart starts beating, you get stronger, you're able to, provide feats of strength that are usually impossible with humans. A woman whose son was crushed under a large car lifts up the entire car herself and pulls him out because of the fight or flight response. Now, I'm just wondering if what happens with epinephrine is that it triggers a response, overproduction of ATP, which would then,
fit right into your theory.
Yeah. Interesting. I like that.
But I just have to make sure that like I'm not making up science.
Hey, it's science fiction. You can
bend the rules.
you
a little
can
bit,
make it
I'm
up,
sure.
and science can catch up later. Isn't that sort of how Star Trek works?
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. But like, just I find it very interesting that Graham and the writers made sure to mention the specific part of the DNA that had Cosima's marker on it. That the specific part of the DNA that was different.
And considering they have real Cosima as their science advisor, it's interesting. What would she be thinking about? What would she, because as we were saying at the fan screening, they were kind of saying Cosima will bring them the science and say, this is what we know, this is where you could go with it, this is another possibility. So it'd be interesting to know what she brought to the table with that specific part of the DNA coding and said, you could go this direction, you could go this direction with that information.
And hopefully we find out before the end of season 2.
I know.
Because then we can have so much fun theorizing before season 3.
Yeah, but because I know I just saw on Twitter today that apparently a lot of questions are going to be answered in this evening's episode. So hopefully we'll get some of maybe a little bit extra science as well, because as much as I do love all of the other clone stories, I am really intrigued on what's going on, and I would hope that at some point we're going to have a little bit of a breakthrough from Cosima and Delphine where they're figuring out what is different about the clones, or what this disease is, how they can help Cosima. So I hope that that's just not sort of like a stagnant plot point where they're always working and like no discoveries.
And I was talking to this with my mother, actually. I'm trying to get her to watch, but I was talking to her about just clones and stuff like that. I was trying to explain it to her so that she would start watching. And I mentioned that one of the clones was starting to have, some of the clones were starting to have respiratory difficulties. And the whole part of, Cosima's illness, Katya's illness, Jennifer. Yes, Jennifer?
Yeah, Jennifer. Who we only got to see in videos here. Yeah.
She's precious! And I can't believe that she only died like 3 days before that.
I know, that's crazy.
But she never got to meet anybody.
I know, that's like, to me that's one of the saddest parts, because at least these other clones have they've found out that they're clones, they know other people are going through similar things, they have someone to deal with it with.
Sarah and Cosima had that really cute bonding moment in the bar.
Yeah. Oh my god. But we never found out if they also got that little dry patch between their eyebrows, which maybe that's the answer we get tonight. Maybe they finally get back to that. Yes, Sarah, we all get that little dry patch.
Maybe they've been starting to share moisturizers,
But recovered, all the moisturizer's gone. Sarah!
Well, they have all been crashing at Felix's place.
That's true. Maybe it's Felix's moisturizer.
No, let's do my bed last night.
Yes! Oh my god, that's one of my...
Oh, I do think it's more accurate to describe them both as bisexuals, even though I do know that the writing staff and just PR is going sort of back and forth about what Cosima's sexuality is, since they have been referring to her as sort of like exclusively gay, which obviously different, but as we can tell from when Rachel said, "So, you're gay." Yeah. That's not necessarily the most interesting part about Cosima and necessarily what matters to her at this moment.
Rachel, all the subtlety of an atom bomb.
I think she has not been sort of socialized towards people who are not in the business world, and therefore when anything happens that's emotional, like at all sort of interpersonal, she's just like, what am I supposed to do now? She obviously likes, gay stuff. Let me just talk about the gay stuff.
I mean, from a purely clone standpoint, it's an interesting thing, but I know they've done studies with twins, which is, the closest we'll get to genetic identicals, And they've had cases where identical twins, like one of them has been attracted to the same gender, one is attracted to the opposite gender. You can have twins that are both straight, twins that are both interested in the opposite
But
gender.
what's really interesting about that is that the concurrence rate, first of all, the concurrence rate with a lot of different aspects of personality, mental illness, all of that between twins is extremely high. But with, I believe with sexuality, twins tend to have their sexuality in common 70% of the time, which is insane.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
For anybody who's never taken psychology or biology, that's a really high
incidence number. Yeah.
I wonder what well, I mean, I'm sure we haven't looked this up, but it'd be interesting to kind of compare the twins to, like, just genetic siblings who are not identical and see. Because then you're still in sort of, like, you still have some of the same DNA bases. So
most of the time it's like a 50-50 split. At least with a lot of, like, sorry, I'm a psych major. a lot of,
No, it's fine. I'm studying for my psych final.
I studied French and drama, so clearly I have a lot to input into this really highly technical conversation.
A lot of...
You can translate all the cute stuff that Delphine says.
Okay. Yeah. She can be the little fluffy puppy. That's what they call her, right?
Yeah.
Fluffy puppy. I should get a little blonde wig.
Yeah.
I sort of got off track when I was explaining I was talking to my mother about the whole sort of illness, right? Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, I'm wondering, is it an aspect of the, genetic changes that they've done in the code by, is that, causing some sort of, breakdown, which would obviously make sense considering that they've made drastic changes to somebody's, gene code, and you can't necessarily determine where one small change, might have an effect in the physiology.
Yeah.
However, my mother brought up that clones tend to not live as long as normally birthed, normally created beings. That clones tend to have an extremely short lifetime compared to the original. And I believe that they've gotten better at extending lifetimes of cloned animals, but the fact is that a lot of them don't, end up developing diseases like that are just, they just start,
You're just, sorry, you're reminding me of the Dolly experiment. The first clones that they made of Dolly, the sheep, for anybody who's watching, it's all over the web, it's easy to find, just type in Dolly the sheep. The first clones, even though they were babies, their cells were actually the same age Dolly was when she was cloned. So I think Dolly was like 3. So even though the sheep were technically 0, their cells were 3, which, shortened their life significantly because their cells were like, no, we're 3 years old, even though So if you theoretically had taken cells from an adult to create the clones of Orphan Black, and they're about, they were born in 1984, that would make them...
They're going to be like
29, 30. They could theoretically have, like, maybe 70-year-old genes. And is that why they're getting sick, maybe? Could that be?
Maybe. But that also might be an argument for them having the original be one of them or their age. Because they could have just taken genes from an infant to prevent that. Because I think it's remarkable that they've managed to live till 30.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, I hate to interrupt, but I have to go off to work, unfortunately. I got called in early, so I'll leave these two to continue chatting, and I will see you tonight at 10:05 p.m. after the episode. And we take a little 5-minute break so you guys can go grab tissues or drinks or whatever you might need before we chat about the episode.
Probably tissues this week.
Jump in your ball pit for like 5 minutes, come back out.
Yep. You just gotta, okay, I'm ready.
Deep breath. Prep like Allison before play.
Yeah.
The rain in Spain falls mainly in the plain.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I have to go. Yeah, I have to go. So I will see you later. Thank you so much for the chat. And bye.
Well, thanks for figuring out the computer junk behind this.
Sorry it didn't work faster. I wish.
On the other hand, next time you want to come and join us, we'll be able to do it super fast. We can post the invite as soon as we start the hangout, and then you can just show up whenever you're there. Which will
instead of screaming at my screen while you guys are just talking, like, I'm here! I'm right here!
That's okay, we could sense you. We're a little bit psychic. It's like ESPN or something. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist quoting Mean Girls.
I love Mean Girls. Anyway. Now, one of the things that I was thinking about was, in experiments you always have to have a control. And what I'm wondering is what sort of parameters that we would have for a clone control. Since they're making changes to the genome, they obviously have to have a clone, but who hasn't had any changes to the genome to see to have that baseline. I don't know if that's actually going to matter in the course of the show, if she's one of them who's just living a normal life somewhere in, like, I don't know, China or something. Or if she is one of, the core 4.
Mm-hmm. Which would be really interesting, also because if it was one of the core 4, their experiment would be screwed now because they know about the clones.
I mean, their experiment is really screwed as is, just because in situations like this, you want to keep it blind because you have, I mean, like, how I was saying before about keeping the parameters, the environment very specific so that you know what's influencing it.
Mm-hmm.
When you have all of your test subjects in one area, not just like hanging out, but becoming, self-aware and evaluating their own genome and trying to repair it, fix it,
Yeah.
You're inherently just biasing it entirely. So,
although, I mean, considering that they've, engineered the girls to be like this, maybe that was Cosima's job all along. To be so good at science that she could fix the rest of them.
I would really like to know about Cosima's upbringing to make that,
Oh my God, yes.
Because, they've established that she's from Berkeley with hippy-dippy parents, and she's like this sort of combination of sort of laid-back, sort of stoner bougie,
Mm-hmm.
And, very astute scientist. And I'm wondering whether her, Graham has said that she has hippie parents, hippie daughter, hippie parents. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't scientists. However, if Cosima was placed, she specifically placed with hippie parents in a very sort of hippie neighborhood who have no science background, who aren't necessarily academics, I would question whether they're trying to, whether the environment they chose for her would have been specifically to sort of work with her intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say that somebody who is not an academic or is a hippie is not intelligent, but obviously putting her in an environment with two parents who are like high-powered scientists who are constantly teaching her and telling her about science would be a very specific influence that you're putting on her.
Yeah.
It does. I just want to know more about the people who raised Cosima because she's like incredible. I mean, we know about Sarah's parent, Mrs. S, and
We actually know more about Helena's upbringing at this point than we do about any of the other clones.
yeah. I mean, I think we can extrapolate pretty well on Allison because I have a feeling that she became her mother. Her mother was probably one of those very involved suburban moms.
My baby, Allison.
Yeah. I was talking to Jackie. I'm not sure whether we mentioned it in the live stream, but it used to be for me. I was like, just don't hurt Cosima, okay? Because she seemed to be like the most vulnerable out of all the clones. And then last week it was, oh my god, don't do anything to Allison. And now it's like, oh,
I've never.
so cute, don't hurt her. And then she fell off the stage. And
I saw that coming. I was like, I don't. I know your sister's the one who's interested in theater, but I don't know if you've ever been on a stage.
Oh
and
yeah.
you see that stop. When you're in the stage lights, you really can't see that. I mean, you can't see the edge, which is like,
Not at all. Which is not so bad if you're on a very small stage. And
also not so bad if you're sober.
right, yeah. when you're drunk and on a lot of, I'm gonna go with it was Xanax or Prozac because she was very chill.
Yeah, I mean, I was also just worried about her mixing her meds, because...
Yeah. I was like, you know what, we saw this happen before with Beth, it didn't end well. I don't want Allison to, do anything that might hurt herself. I just want Allison to be happy all the time.
We haven't seen her kids in a while.
I know, we haven't, and those kids are adorable.
The best improvised line came from that scene. Adios, dragsters.
Yeah.
But what I'm wondering in the case of the kids is, Kira is obviously, like, sort of creepily aware of everything. Like, beyond a level that, like, sometimes she's aware of things that even, like, Sarah's not aware of.
Yeah.
That she knows that, like, Helena has, like, is a good person. I know she's, like, kind of, insane serial killer, but at the same time, she's my precious baby.
Mhm. Well, I feel like now that Tomas is dead and she's with the Prometheans, should she escape, she'll probably be an ally to the clones instead of trying to kill them all again. Because she'll be like, you know what, I want to take out these other bad guys, the Prometheans, first. And then she's like, you know what, I don't really like the people at Dyad, we'll take them out too.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it seems like she really developed this Stockholm syndrome with the guy since she was 12 when she was abducted. She was abducted from church, and
yeah. Helena just has the worst luck.
Pretty much. She's a cutie. Her eating habits are so gross and cute at the same time. Apparently Tatiana Maslany eats like Helena. And just leaves wrappers around the set, like detritus everywhere.
That's so cute, though.
Yeah. But actually, Helena's eating habits actually tie into the whole my clone theory. So I know somebody, I think Phoenix Falls, added, or, reblogged onto what I had written. But, ATP, the beginning of ATP synthesis is breaking down sugars, right?
Right.
So her being hungry all the time is because she's producing so much damn ATP.
Right. And
so much,
all she eats is sugar.
She's adding sugar to her jello.
Yeah. She's got sugar packets in her pockets.
I mean, and she's not a drug addict.
No.
Would not be.
I wonder
don't know, it makes me wonder whether she just needs all the sugar, or maybe she was like deprived of it for so long when she was with Clematis and the rest of them. Like, maybe her diet was controlled and the sweets were just as bad as, you know, the other clones. She wasn't allowed to have it.
Yeah.
And the only reason I bring that up is that my grandparents grew up during the war, and they had massive sugar rationing along with like everything else. But even now, they take more sugar than anyone else I know in like their coffee and with whatever they put it on. So they were the ones who introduced me to sugar sandwiches, which I'm not really sure I recommend.
I'm sorry, but
Sugar and sugar. It's
red sugar, that's it?
Yep, that's it. And then you eat it. It's
It's worse than cinnamon toast. You ever make cinnamon toast with butter, then cinnamon sugar, and you put it in the broiler and it gets caramelized on top?
That sounds really good though. Yep.
I feel like we're starting to just detract from the whole...
Oh, we are. We've moved on to... Well, this is another, sort of another theory that, Jackie and I and our friend Brittany were talking about either last week before we started the live stream or on the live stream, where Helena equates affection with food, because she always tries to offer people food. And,
I mean, I could see that being a very clear indication of, you know, her upbringing and her restrictive, you know. And as a psychology major, I'm sure you know about what, you know, kids from abusive homes and their, you know, food hoarding habits,
yeah,
and relationships with food.
They do. They hoard a lot, and her offering food to her family is, well, to Sarah and Kira, and I'm not really sure I count Grace at this point from last episode when she was like, do you want some food? At that point, she was probably just trying to get Grace close enough to, like, strangle her. But yeah, offering her family
that because Grace keeps calling her it, and if she calls her it, if anybody calls anybody it, I just want to smack them across the face. Just
yeah. We were talking, and we were all like, at the same time, Grace seems like the one person that might be savable from this little commune of crazy people, but at the same time, she seems like the worst one of them all. She's like, it. She's like, I don't think it belongs here.
I'm still really frightened of what's going to happen during tonight's episode to Helena. Though, you know, promo pics make me believe that at least Helena's in control of what happens.
Yeah. We were joking around that hopefully she, you know, plays dead until he, like, puts her down and then, like, lunges and digs her teeth into his neck and just, like, rips it out. Exactly a dog, so that might not happen.
I also just really love that she was referred to as the Shakira-haired clone, because that's what I've been thinking for so long.
Oh my god, that was the best.
Though why haven't her roots started to show? Because she obviously has black hair.
Right. So does she, you know, does she like having the little bit of roots and like she touches up the rest of it? And when did
these are the important questions, you know?
Between all the killing and the being kidnapped and the, you know, scarring herself, when does she have time to dye her hair?
Maybe she multitasks with the scarring herself, and she just that's what she does while she's waiting for the bleach to.
She's like, whack whack. Oh look, my 10 minutes are off. Wash wash wash. Whack. I don't know. But we talk a lot my sister and I about Orphan Black, and some of it doesn't make it into the live stream, and some of it does, so I'm never really sure which is which. But we were talking, and that maybe Tomas or one of the other people, like Maggie Chen, that she was with to begin with, dyed her hair at the start, considering they call her the Light, and a clone with dark hair would not have lived up to that description.
That's really cool.
Also really creepy. But yeah.
I mean, just like a very cool theory.
Yeah.
Can just have so much like cultural impact of light versus dark.
Yeah. Well, Jackie made a joke while we were setting up the live stream, and she's like, "Hey, I'm all in black, and you're all in light." She's like, "I'm Sarah, you're Helena. You're the light, and I'm the." Well, not that she was really dressed as a punk, but you know.
She usually dresses as Cosima, though, right?
Yeah, she does. Mostly that was her work outfit. Cosima's her favorite, so she takes a lot of her fashion cues from Cosima now. She's like, look at the cool shirts I have. Oh, also we were talking and we're like, even though Cosima's parents are hippies, they must be rich, because we've looked up some of her clothes and they're like $300 or $400 a piece.
And she's a student.
Yeah. We're like, either that or all she spends her money on is her computer and her clothes, and she eats like
and weed. You're forgetting the weed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So which clone is your favorite, and which clone do you dress up as? If you were to...
My favorite is Sarah, and I actually I've got a whole cosplay of like her in the first episode, and then I've got a bunch of stuff that matches up with like her being other clones, like specifically like Beth and stuff. I've got a lot of, you know, button downs and stuff, so I'm like, look, I'm Sarah's Beth. But yeah, we try to. I broke the rules because I'm wearing a Doctor Who shirt, but we try to keep our outfits for the live stream Orphan Black inspired. So.
No, I didn't get the memo. I'm wearing my elephant shirt, but from the same brand. I only have 2 shirts from this one company.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to show it to you because I realized. Oh, sorry, backlit. I realized belatedly. After the premiere, where I could have dressed up and not looked like a weirdo, that like 50% of my, like, I would say my style, my wardrobe, is pretty much exactly like Sarah being Sarah, and the rest of it's just like schlubby workout clothes. Let me see. Yeah, I actually wore this to a party. It's and I have like I have this what is it? Sort of like bandeau type thing that she actually wears in one of the episodes when she's like looting Beth's house.
Yeah, I have that too, actually.
They're so great. Anyway, this just seems so perfect for Sarah that I feel so ashamed that I didn't wear it.
You can do it next time. We didn't warn you, so well, we didn't really either today. So, but we will later tonight because, hey, it's tradition. A 3-week tradition, but a tradition nonetheless.
Yeah. Anyway, this has been really, really fun. I have, like, 2 finals and, like, 5 final papers.
Yeah, sorry, Jackie warned me, and we were like, don't worry, we won't keep Anna too long, and it's been, like, an hour. But yeah, we can sign off now, and maybe after finals you can come back and we'll talk more theories or after episodes or something.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, okay. Anna, enjoy the episode tonight. Everybody else, enjoy the episode. We'll see you all after the episode, and we'll fangirl over it with you, and you guys can send us questions to our Tumblr. We'll be checking if you want us to mention something specifically, and we will see you later today. Don't die before then. Later, Clone Club.